Superman the movie is directed by Richard Donner. It is distributed by Warner Brothers. It was produced by Alexander and Ilya Salkind, and it stars Christopher Reeve, Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando, and Margot Kidder. This movie is the best superhero movie I have ever seen. It blows everything out of Marvel. It blows everything that's happening in DC right now, which is not good at all. This movie is so good. They started production basically by, okay, we need two people for Superman's dad and Lex Luthor. So they started looking around. And then they found Marlon Brando, and that's how the whole entire movie basically got off its feet. They got Marlon Brando, who was of course in The Godfather, and then Gene Hackman joined the film right afterwards, and then it took them basically another 6 months to find a Superman. And I mean, dozens of actors. I mean, Dustin Hoffman, Muhammad Ali, Sylvester Stallone, um, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, Robert Redford, Paul Newman. I mean, oh my God, the cast list was so long because they wanted somebody popular to be Superman so they can make a lot of money off of it if this person's in this movie. None of them worked out. I think the Robert Redford, until Robert Redford, of course, turned it down, and then they found the diamond in the rough in Christopher Reeve. Oh my. Christopher Reeve is Superman. He is the best Superman out there. You cannot say that Henry Cavill is Superman. No. I mean, he might be the closest thing to a Superman nowadays, but no. Brandon Routh, when they did Superman Returns, he was a stiff. I mean, the Smallville actor, he did a good job, but he played more Clark Kent. He was never really Superman. And Dean Cain in the TV series, yeah, he was a good Superman, but he was too comical. Christopher Reeve set the tone. He was humorous, he was very kind, and he always, when he gave you that stare, you knew Superman ain't taking any shit. They had just a great cast of people. The whole Krypton people were all casted very well, very old actors. A good guy I like out of the whole entire movie is Glenn Ford, who played Superman's dad. I mean, I thought that who played Superman's human dad is a very good actor. I love Glenn Ford. Glenn Ford, when he died, it made me want to cry. I mean, oh. And then Margot Kidder, I do like her. She got kind of crappy in the sequels, which I'll get to because I'm going to be probably doing all 4 sequels, including The Quest for Peace. But anyways, about this film, Richard Donner directed it, and this is why I love Richard Donner. I'm in love with Richard Donner. Richard Donner is probably the best director I've ever seen. He does the Lethal Weapon series. He did he produced a couple X-Men films. He even produced with his wife the Deadpool movie. I mean, this guy was basically right after he did Superman, he was supposed to do Superman 2. And the producers didn't like him because he went over schedule. He made one of the best movies of all time, and they fired him. Anyways, this guy was so nice. The cast, the crew, they all loved him. They had no problems with him. It was always the producers with the Salkind saying, we don't have more money. You need to tighten this up. Let's go. Because they were actually filming Superman 1 and Superman 2 back to back. I mean, it was kind of like Lord of the Rings when they were shooting all those back to back, or the Matrix sequels. They shot them back to back, which of course wasn't a good idea, but of course the Salkinds wanted it even before they hired Donner. And even before Donner, they hired a Bond director, actually. I forget his name. They hired a Bond director, and then they were going to film in Italy. Marlon Brando had a tax problem in Italy. They couldn't go to Italy. Oh yeah, the guy's name is Guy Hamilton. He was a Bond. Yeah, he did Goldfinger, did Bond, and they were going to go with him. And actually, the writer who wrote Superman, Mario Puzo. and nobody knows who Mario Puzo is because you guys aren't nerds like I am. Mario Puzo is the author of The Godfather and also wrote 3 Godfather scripts for the Godfather movies. I mean, this guy is legendary. Puzo wrote a 300-page script of 2 movies, and it was amazing. Then they hired 2 other writers called Leslie and David Newman. Leslie and David Newman are terrible writers. Terrible writers. They had in a script of Superman going to Kojak and tapping Telly Savalas on the shoulder, saying, just tapping him on the shoulder when he's flying, and Telly Savalas says, "Who loves you, baby?" They had Lex Luthor eating Kleenexes. You want to talk about a campy style of Superman? No. That's why Donner hired his very good friend, Tom Mankiewicz. And Tom Mankiewicz wrote an incredible script off Puzo, rewrote it all, and it became one of the best movies I have ever seen. The love story with Clark and Lois and then Superman and Lois was so good. Harry White with Jackie Cooper playing him, oh my gosh. Jimmy Olsen was great with Mark McClure. I mean, the whole entire cast was just great. And the writing was great. The basic, I mean, I'm gonna spoil it for you because if you have not seen Superman, you are not human. I grew up watching this film. I mean, I used to have pajamas with a cape on back that had a Superman emblem in the shorts, and I used to just feel like I was flying around the house. I mean, I was such a big Superman fan. It's lived with me, and my mom always was like, okay, you can only watch Superman 1, but you can't watch 2 and 3 and 4, because my mom was like, no. I was like, why not? But anyways, it's a good thing that I didn't watch 2, 3, and 4 till probably when I was a couple of years older, due to the fact that they all went ever since 1. So I'll get to those. But anyways, we're just getting into Superman now. I mean, the basic plot is, you're on Krypton. Superman is going into a big star rocket ship. Krypton. You see the Krypton description. You see the 3 villains in Zod, Ursula, and Non. I mean, they're gonna return in Superman 2. And then also, you see Clark growing up from little boy, high school, when he's got to leave, when his dad dies, and then he reaches the Fortress of Solitude. He meets Jor-El. He changes into Superman, and the first time he goes on screen, oh my gosh, I still get like goosebumps every time he does that. And then when he saves Lois Lane for the first time, saving her and the helicopter, I was just like, yes. And I mean, it's just Superman when he says, I hope this little incident didn't put you off fly, miss. Statistically speaking, of course, it's still a safe way to travel. I'm like, that is perfect. And then when he goes and meets Lois Lane for the first time, right when he enters and just drops on the balcony, he says, "Good evening, Miss Lane." It just is like, yes. Christopher Reeve should have got an Oscar for this film. Not just being one of those guys that says, okay, here are the nominees for, because he was that in the 1979 Academy Awards. He should have been nominated for an Academy Award. The kid was so good at 25 years old at being Superman. But anyways, yeah, Richard Donner got fired up off of this movie, and actually he wanted to do like 3, 4, or 5 more movies with this thing, and I would have been like, heck yeah, Richard Donner, he's awesome. The whole cast like Richard Donner. I mean, why not? But the Salkind sent him a telegram saying your services are no longer required, and I'm just like, that is sad. And then they hired Dick Lester, which I'll get to in the future. But anyways, the special effects, they are so amazing. They used basically a lot of blue screen and black screen. They used a lot of... They did put him on wires for some scenes. Like the city scenes, oh yeah, he was on wires and everything. But mostly when he was flying up and when he was definitely trying to do a lot of saving. It was more black screen and blue screen, especially when he was flying with Lois. I mean, you kind of knew it was blue screen and black screen around this age, but in the 70s, no. But the special effects are still good today. I mean, the flying is just so majestical because some people, when they fly today, you know, they act like they're so uncomfortable on wires. But you look at like Christopher Reeve, who was on wires for all 4 movies. Well, 3 movies. 4 we'll get to again. And then, and then, I saw Hook actually again with Robin Williams in it, and Robin was on wires and also on blue screen and everything. It's just amazing how they really used really good special effects. I mean, the special effects are amazing. I got no problem with that. The sets are amazing. John Barry, who also did all the concepts for Star Wars, the art concepts for Star Wars, and made the sets happen. I mean, he passed before the film, and then the principal photographer, Jeffrey Unsworth. Oh my gosh, he would make everybody look so perfect on screen. I mean, Jeffrey should have got an Academy Award. John Barry shouldn't have got an Academy Award. Hell, Richard Donner should have got an Academy Award. I mean, this film should have been so much an Academy nominated, but I think it won one Academy Award, of course, for John Williams' music, which is... I mean, you cannot say Man of Steel with Hans Zimmer or The Dark Knight with Hans Zimmer is better soundtrack than Superman with John Williams. John Williams is the best superhero composer probably of all time. I know he hasn't done a lot of superhero movies. He's only done Superman, but I mean, who doesn't like that? It was so good. And I love that Warner Brothers, tried to make other projects. They tried making Superman Lives. Tim Burton, okay. Nicolas Cage's Superman. It would have been decent. And then that project got shut down. Okay. Superman Returns. Brandon Routh. I had no problem with him on screen. He looked good on screen. He looked like he was very bad on wires, though. And it looked like the flying wasn't that great for him. And then... the whole movie was complete crap for 2 minutes and 50... not 2 minutes. 2 hours and 54 minutes. It was almost a 3-hour film. It was terrible. Terrible. The only thing I like in that film, Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. Other than that, the whole movie really didn't get my attention like Reed did. But basically, right after he saves Lois Lane and everything, everybody knows who he is. In the 70s, they didn't really care if he was a good guy or bad guy or trying to help or not. You kind of knew he was trying to help with all the good deeds he was doing around the freaking place. And then, Lex Luthor calls him with this dog whistler and says, a poisonous gas pellet's going to be going across the metropolis and everything. Superman finds Luthor, and... Luthor explains his scheme and then finds kryptonite. I mean, it was so good storytelling, but at the same time, it was so exhilarating at the end because I also heard that when Superman turns the world back, right after Lois dies, actually that whole entire ending was supposed to be not there. What they were going to do is when Superman throws the first missile into space, that missile was supposed to break the fortress, the Phantom Zone, where the 3 villains are in, and then it said at the end, it says, to be continued, will return in Superman 2, and then you were going to see right at the end where Lois dies, he was going to turn the world back, and then he fights the 3 villains, and it would have been so great, but Warner Brothers said, well, we don't even know if the first film's going to be a hit. I think it was a hit. It was actually Warner Brothers' best movie ever since that time. Of course, a lot of records have been broken, but with billions of dollars. But again, that was like the summer blockbuster. Well, that was the Christmas blockbuster movie of '78, and it was such an amazing movie. I'm going to give Superman an A plus. Superman is just an amazing movie. It teaches you how to fight for truth, justice, in the American way. It is one of the best movies in my top 10, and I very advise you to see it. Get the book, read about Richard Donner. I mean, watch this movie. Please watch this movie. This movie will change your life. And it's the best superhero movie known to man until proven otherwise. Again, Wonder Woman was good. I'd like to see more of those movies now, but this stands in time, and nobody can beat Christopher Reeve. I'm sorry. This is my review for Superman the movie, and I hope you guys have liked it. I've gotten some good comments, and I've gotten at least 50 views. Actually, no, 61 views on the Wonder Woman. So I'm hoping all you guys can still watch my stuff. I hope I'm not like boring or not entertaining. I know I have some light issues. I'm sorry. I'm doing this on a computer, not a camcorder, and I don't have any light posts yet. I'm not that rich, and if you like my videos, you can click right on that red button and be subscribed. This is Kyle McGinty signing off for my second review of Superman the movie, and I hope you like it so much that you want to watch more. See ya.